Do you also have a personal problem that you would like to discuss with Berthold in the podcast? We would love to have you as our guest. Check out the link in the show notes of this episode for more info. And who knows, we will see each other in the studio.
Welcome to the Flip Thinking Podcast. In this podcast, you'll listen to intimate conversations between Berthold Gunster and his guests. Together, they'll explore the guest's personal problem and try to make it feel lighter or make it disappear altogether. This can be achieved in different ways. Sometimes they can simply solve the problem, but more often than not, they'll find that they have to let go of expectations or views they hold about themselves. At other times, they can only observe the fact that there is a problem without judging it. And in some cases, they can flip think the problem.
Good afternoon. Can you tell me something about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my name is Julian. I'm 24 years old. I live in Rotterdam with two housemates.
A city in the Netherlands.
City in the Netherlands.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
The second biggest of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I work in healthcare policy as a project leader since I finished my studies.
A healthcare
Policy, yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of questions about that, but you're not coming here to talk about your job. You come here to talk about a problem or a dilemma or whatever you might call it. So tell me.
Yeah, that's right. My problem is that I struggle with staying in good contact with my family and friends. So I often tend to reply late to text. Sometimes I don't reply at all. When they call me, I often don't go back. And that has the effect that I often lose contact with my family, with my friends.
And you sound like my older son. He's got the same problem. But this as an aside. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
Yeah, and the effect of that is that I just struggle to also feel the connection with my environment. And yeah, that's also really not beneficial for the connection. And I also feel a lot of shame and often guilt around that.
Yeah, because I have the assumption that for you, this seems like a stupid problem for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So this explains the shame, I presume.
Yeah, that's right.
Why do I have this stupid problem?
Why do I have this stupid problem? And I've tried a lot of things to deal with it.
Yeah,
but it keeps on happening, and I keep falling back to the same pattern that I then don't reply to people.
And the pattern is I do not react.
I do not react. Yeah, and I avoid. Like sometimes I even archive chats instead of then replying to text. Then if I feel like I've replied too late or that I feel like I've passed a certain point in replying time, then I just even sometimes archive chats that I don't even see the chats anymore, and then I just avoid it at all. And indeed, there's also judgment about that I find that really stupid. Yeah. Because rationally, I know, of course, that
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It will come back at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to get a kind of picture how this works, can you give me the most painful example of something you didn't reply to, but you should have done so?
That was really painful. And even with a friend group that I it's a really close friend group from high school. I didn't reply to them in months, and then they even went to my house, to my parents' house. Like, hey, is he still alive? Like how
is he dead?
Yeah,
because how long didn't you reply?
For me, that can sometimes mean that I don't reply for a month or even sometimes longer. So it feels like when I get into the avoidance state, it can become a really long avoidance state.
So, and I try to understand you. The moment you avoid it, and you archive the dialogue, for example, then the problem becomes worse.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So they came to your parents' house.
Yeah. Yeah.
With how many people?
Yeah, this was with two of my closest friends.
Two of your closest friends. Let's dig into this example.
Yeah.
I love the painful examples.
Yeah, it's shameful.
So, you're ashamed right now?
Yeah.
That's good. Stay there. So what did they tell your parents?
They told my parents that they were worried about me.
Yeah, if you were alive.
If
right?
I were, but more.
But their parents freed them. Telling you,
and
because you did stay in contact with your parents at that time.
Yeah, that's right. But also with my parents, it's a bit less extreme. Like it's not a couple months, but I can still lose contact for a week or 2 weeks, and then there's sometimes like, hey. Are you okay?
Are you still alive? Right.
Are you still alive? Yeah.
Back to the two friends, closest friends that talk to your parents. Yeah. So how did you find out that they talk to your parents?
Yeah, then I got a message from my mom. Like, hey.
What kind of message? WhatsApp or a phone call or?
Like an iMessage,
iMessage?
So indeed, like just a message. Like, hey, they were.
And did you see the message?
Yeah, I saw the message. Yeah,
Which is a miracle.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then I saw it, and then of course I thought like, okay, now I have to do something. But it's like only if I feel like there's no other way, then I.
If there's no escape, and the urge is really high, then you are able to respond.
Yeah. And another example, like
please.
I like this March, I went on holiday with a friend to Germany.
It's May now, right?
It's May now.
March, 2 months ago.
2 months ago. But beforehand, I didn't have contact with him for a couple months, and I got a lot of stress because I just didn't reply to his messages. And we would go on a holiday.
It was scheduled, or what?
It was scheduled. Yeah. We booked 3 months ago, but after that, we got out of contact because I didn't reply. So also then 3 or 4 days before the holiday, then I was like, okay, I have to reply. And
because now there's urge.
Now there's urge.
If there's urge, you can behave normal, right?
That's right. Yeah.
In a way normal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now we have 2 examples, and they are quite severe.
Yeah, they are really severe. Yeah.
So I accept you have a problem.
Yeah.
Which is a good starting point for this podcast.
That's right, yeah.
So before we repeat your own brain work, can you tell me what kind of work did you already do? It failed, of course, because you're here. But what attempts did you already try?
I tried to be really strict on when I would reply. So, for example, every day at 11 or at 10 in the evening, I will reply to
a fixed time.
A fixed time. And then sometimes that could work for a week or 2 weeks. Sometimes 3 weeks, but then in the end, it would go again to like my normal pattern.
Yeah.
I even tried to also do some flip thinking about it, so making fun of it, like, oh, haha, I'm a bad friend, but it didn't work.
It might work accidentally now and then, but not structurally, of course.
Not structurally.
No, because good friends, they do reply, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now also looking forward, then I also feel like I almost lost the confidence that I can be that good friend or that I can be like structurally connected with the people around me. So that's also now my struggle, that I'm almost at the point like, what should I do? I'm almost like, I surrender.
I just don't know.
I give up. I just don't know. Yeah.
How long do you have this problem?
Already quite a long time. Yeah.
When did can you recall when it started?
Yeah, I also thought about that. I think during high school it was less severe because then I saw my friends every day. You see them every day at school, so they're like, when you're not replying, then it's not a big problem because
they talk to you the next day. They see you live.
Yeah. So I think the severity started when I went to my university, like when I started
actually
my bachelor.
The pattern started before, but the fact that you saw them in real life made the problem not that bad, but it was already there.
And there's a really strong feeling of I have to hide, and that's something that goes like way back to childhood too, like the feeling of like when there's a problem, when there's danger, that I have to hide. I think that goes like way back, and this is like a certain.
This is interesting. When there's a problem, the best strategy is to hide.
I think so, yeah, and to just look away.
Yeah, until the problem is gone, like a cloud.
Yeah. It actually feels like
friends don't go like a cloud. They want to be connected.
Yeah. And now when I think about it, like I didn't realize that before, but it feels like I'm a little kid, and instead of then like for example, when a kid is scared, they can like put their hands in front of their eyes, and like if I don't see the problem
isn't there.
The problem isn't there. Yeah.
So as a child, did this strategy benefit you? Did it help?
Yeah, because my parents are divorced, and like in my father's house, I had like a new stepmother, stepfather, stepbrother, and in that house there was often like tension and like fights.
New stepmother, you're going quite quick now.
Sorry,
Stepmother, stepbrother, and
stepsister, and my brother. So it was
and your brother.
So it was like a household of 6 persons.
Yeah.
But in that house there were a lot of fights and a lot of. For me, like I always felt there was like even if there was no fight, there was
tension.
Yeah, there was tension.
How old were you when you entered this compound family?
I was 3 or 4 years old.
So very young.
And
very young.
Yeah,
3 years old.
Yeah.
All the other children, were they older than you were?
I was the youngest, but my stepsister and me, we only it was like 1 month of a difference.
Yeah.
And my stepbrother and my brother, they are like 1.5 years older.
Yeah, quite close to you.
Quite close, yeah.
But you were together with your stepsister, the youngest of the 4, right?
That's right, yeah.
So an overwhelming situation with a lot of tensions.
That's right, yeah.
Can you recall a traumatic or a exploding or whatever situation where you did hide from all the tension that was there?
Yeah, what that also meant that I stayed in my room, for example, or that I always, when I want to go downstairs, that I always thought twice, or before I went down, for example, to the living room. And also when I was just sitting there on the table with like the 6 of us, then I often was quiet and silent. Also for, I think, a form of hiding, in the sense that I am not showing myself.
If you don't see me,
Yeah.
they can't hurt me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if I'm not there, nothing bad can happen.
Yeah.
Did you feel comfortable in your room?
Yes.
And relatively to
yeah.
the rest of the house,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you tell me something about the feeling you had being in this room, hiding for everybody? Do you have words for how this felt for you?
Like a safe place where I cannot be hurt, or that when there's no danger, and where I can release the tension that's in my body, which I felt like when I was around the other family members, for example.
Yeah. Do you have a recollection of how your room looked like?
Yeah.
Tell me, please, if you want to.
It was a room which I shared with my brother. Just 2 beds. Mine was on one side of the room. My brother's was on the other side. Yeah, it was quite spacious. A lot of windows, quite light.
Yeah. And when your brother was in the same room, did you feel safe with your brother too? Or was there also a little tension there with him? Because the 2 of you is something different than being with a bigger family, right?
Yeah, that's right. I felt like my brother was some kind of protection or so. Like he was the bigger brother. And I could also rely on him in that sense. So more like in a protection way than that he was also a threat or so.
Which is good. Very good.
Really good.
So this room must have felt very safe for you.
The room was safe, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so then, as a young child, you learned, when I hide, I'm safe.
Yeah.
When there's a problem, just close your eyes, like an ostrich, don't see the problem, and the problems will go. And it worked in a way, right? In that situation.
It worked quite well, yeah.
Do you think, because we have explored now your youth, your childhood, do you think this is an explanation for your current pattern?
I think it could be, yeah. Yeah, I think it can be like the source of my I have to hide behavior.
So to summarize, can we state then that when you encounter a problem or an invitation or something you have to do, an outward impulse, then you might say knee-jerk reaction is hide.
Yeah.
And hide is safe.
Yeah,
exactly. Although now, as being older, you found out that hide is dangerous because 2 of your best friends will knock on the door of your parents. Yeah. Is he dying or is he still alive? What is happening?
Yeah.
So on the short term, it works.
That's right. On the short term, there's no problem. Yeah.
And on the short term, it must be rewarding for you still, although you're older, that when you receive a WhatsApp message or whatever, when you just forget about it, then in first instance, there must be a kind of reward. I'm safe. There's an impulse, but I don't do anything.
Yeah, because I avoid then the confrontation that someone's telling me like, you should have replied earlier, or like you are a bad friend, for example. Like that. I'm not receiving the judgment from them. Yeah. So I can hide from their judgment, actually.
Right. So we can establish, although in the long term it's stupid, of course, we know, but on the short term it's a very successful strategy.
That's right. Yeah.
Are we on the same page?
We are on the same page. Yeah.
Which could explain that it's such a stubborn pattern. Then when there is an impulse and you don't react, there's this positive confirmation that you are doing a good thing.
Yeah.
So in a way, you have trained your system that hiding for problems works.
Yeah.
Can we establish this?
Yeah, that's right.
How does this feel, or how do you think listening to this statement?
It gives.
You're smiling now, aren't you?
Yeah. No.
Do I see a relief?
Yeah. No. There's a relief that I now can see the pattern and that I understand better where it comes from. And at the same time, I feel like the judgment about the pattern.
Yeah, but that's the next phase of this conversation. We are only here now establishing that there's a nice reward. Not responding to impulses from the outside world gives a kind of relief.
Yeah, and I also now see a little bit like broader examples in my life. I'm like, oh, this is also a tendency where I want to hide. So I think it gets close to the core indeed. Yeah.
So now we know the source of the problem.
Yeah.
But knowing why you have a flat tire doesn't give you a tire that's repaired, right?
That's right.
So knowing the source doesn't give us insight on how to go on from here. But I think we might establish that there's a little bit less shame now, probably because you have a good reason to produce this behavior for yourself, to calm you down.
Yeah.
Which, as a 3-year-old, is a brilliant strategy living in such a explosive household.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, knowing this, when you want to break this pattern, let's first establish in an ideal world, how would your behavior look like? Do you have an image of this, a vision of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would just reply when I can, if I want to, and that I'm not driven
No,
by...
if I want to, I don't know if that's a good criterion.
Okay,
So start again, because you don't want it really.
Yeah.
Maybe on the long term or on a short term, you want comfort.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
So start again.
in an
What's your
ideal
vision?
In an ideal situation, if it's beneficial for me in the long term too, then I would also reply in the short term.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So as soon as you can.
as soon as I can. Yeah.
The next day. So, like for instance, how would it be that in the end of every day, your box is empty, all your WhatsApp messages are you have replied to, and you can go to sleep. You don't have any impulse you have to react to. How would that life be for you?
It would feel like a big relief indeed. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what we are aiming at, right? This is the goal. Maybe you said, I will be back at you tomorrow if you need some time, but you did reply the same day. In an ideal Julian world.
That would be like perfect, yeah.
Right. So how to go from where you are now to this ideal world? Do you have any suggestions for yourself?
Firstly, stay kind to myself. I think that's step one.
What is it? Can you elaborate on what is it? Stay kind to myself. What do you mean with these words?
Well, actually, this is more like in the phase when I didn't reply. So maybe that's also like the step afterwards.
But maybe in the beginning you will need this.
Yeah. So a general base of kindness towards myself. I'm okay as I am, also with this pattern.
So just slow down. You receive a WhatsApp message.
Yeah.
There's a little panic.
Yeah.
That will be there. But then you stay kind to yourself. I'm panicking now, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Is this the message you give yourself in the future, in the near future, tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about tomorrow.
Noticing what's going on, noticing maybe if there's a panic reaction.
There will be a panic reaction.
And then I would still observe it, but not listen to it, and just still reply to the message.
The intuitive reaction would be hide.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but you don't give in. You don't hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then?
Yeah, I noticed in myself that I, on the one hand, try to think about doing it, but on the other hand, I have a really strong voice which doesn't have confidence in this, which is like, no, this is not possible. You can never do that or so.
Tell me something about that voice. How come?
I think I've tried a lot of things. I'm quite analytical. I try to analyze it. I try to deal with it. But after every attempt, I fall back to my old pattern. And that's what my stubborn voice is telling me. Like, you can never change it around completely, that it will just be a peaceful part of your life.
Yeah, could be. Could be. But one sentence that has freed me a lot is that one cannot predict the future. This might be right, but this might be wrong too. We just don't know. But there's this kind of, I understand there's this kind of burden weighing upon you that you've tried so many times to change the pattern. So we'll just see. We'll just find out. So now I have a suggestion for you, because I understand that once you get an email or whatever, there's this first discomfortable feeling of being attacked. And you want to hide, and hiding gives this kind of comforting feeling, right? So now let's compare a WhatsApp message with pain, right? With an impulse, pain, an uncomfortable problem. So how would it be not to avoid the pain, but to just dive into the pain? Fully embrace it.
It would feel very vulnerable. My unconscious mind tells me now it's almost done unbearable.
Unbearable, these are big words.
Yeah.
We're talking about a WhatsApp message, but emotionally it feels like unbearable.
Yeah, and now it's more also like more when I have to come back on mistakes I've made.
No, so, but in this future, I'm talking with you about a future in which you don't make that much mistakes anymore, or maybe no mistakes at all. Yeah. So there's this message from a friend. Yeah. It's a new message. Yeah. You receive it on 12 minutes past 1. Yeah. You read it 13 minutes past 1. Yeah. First reaction is hide, comfort, don't do anything, forget about it. Mm-hmm. This is an old pattern. So now I suggest to you, I give you the suggestion, dive into the pain and give yourself yourself the instruction, Julian, respond now. It will be painful. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant. Like something you have to do, like going to the gym. You don't want to go to the gym normally. Normal people don't want to go to the gym. Yeah. But in the long term, it's rewarding. So you don't want to feel this pain, but you go into the pain.
Yeah. I think it would give a lot of relief, because I think it will give like a peak in like the pain or the fear, but afterwards, like, you've sent a message and
there's relief.
There's relief because nothing happened.
And maybe there's more comfort than the comfort that will be the result of hiding.
100% sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So is the liberating insight, instead of pain, hide, pain, dive in? Is it that simple?
Maybe it is that simple. Maybe I overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you have fear of open spaces, for example, nothing to do with you at first, maybe, but maybe on the long term it does. When you have fear of open spaces, the best strategy is to avoid them. And every time you avoid an open space, your brain tells you, you did a good job. You're safe now. There's no open space. Yeah. So if you do this for years, avoiding open spaces, and then you are confronted with a space you have to cross or whatever, then there will be panic. Because for so many years you have been avoiding them successfully and comforting yourself in this way. This could feel like an overwhelming experience to enter an open space. But the funny thing is, when you enter an open space, you won't die. There won't be a plane that will crash you, whatever. So the best thing to learn to cross open spaces is to retrain your brain, go into the danger again. This will take a lot of time. This is what in psychology people can do with fear. And over time, you will feel comfortable in the open space, right? Yeah. So can we use this as a kind of metaphor for your avoiding of pain when you receive a message?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think if I would just time after time dive into it and not avoid it, then it could change around. But I think that would take also indeed like a lot of time, a lot of practice.
And months. Yeah. Because in a way, you started this pattern when you were 3 and you are 24 now, if I recall right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So 21 years of training won't go away in a week or 2 weeks.
No, that's true.
But as you said, and I think I can agree with you, once you have dived into the pain, we're talking about a WhatsApp message. But for your system, it's pain. It's uncomfortable. Once you have dived into it, 30 or 40 seconds later, there's comfort because you did respond. Because you're not only learning yourself to get into the pain, but you also get the immediate reward of comfort, of relief.
Yeah, that's right.
So pain, relief, pain, relief.
Yeah, I think that could work, especially for new connections or new messages. And there's also still that part that the pattern also stands for me for a loss of connections, loss of friendships in the past. And that's also something I still feel like I have to deal with or so. That's a very I carry right now.
Yeah, so I have the assumption now there's this load of messages you didn't respond to. Am I right?
That's right, yeah.
And they're all archived, aren't they?
Now,
or thrown away?
Thrown away or archived. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So how would it be for you to send a message to all the people you love, you care about, your friends, your family, starting new behavior right now, which is responding quite quick to every message I get? I apologize for the past because there's a load of messages I didn't respond to. Maybe there are some mistakes. I won't look at them. But if there's something I should know, just please let me know. I want to start fresh from now on. Yeah. And can you help me? And can you forgive me if I didn't answer any messages in the past? Can you help me to get a fresh start together? Because I care about you, I love you, and my ambition is to respond every day. Ooh.
Yeah.
There's a little discomfort here, isn't there?
There's a lot of discomfort.
A lot of discomfort,
Yeah. Because talking about diving into the big pile of pain that's there, then I would really dive into that by texting them out. Yeah.
Ask forgiveness.
Yeah.
People tend to forgive if asked for.
And also then, on top of that, forgive myself.
Now, this is a key question. What stops you forgiving yourself?
Because I feel like I've wronged a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I also get a little bit emotional from that. Like, I feel like my behavior has been really unfair, or that I didn't have a reason to not reply because they showed interest to me and I didn't reply back. And although I now understand that pattern, like where it comes from, but I still feel that I did wrong to them,
Right.
or that I caused them pain.
And you did.
I did.
I agree.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not how decent people behave. To free yourself from this pain, I have a question. How would you describe yourself? What's your image? What's your self-image when you are not responding all the time? So how do you feel about it? How do you think about yourself? What kind of person do you think you are? On the negative side, right?
Yeah. I think it's weak. It also feels like I always then put my interest over their interest.
So egoistic.
Egoistic, or maybe even
Egocentric, yeah.
narcissistic.
Narcissistic.
Ooh, that's
a heavy word.
Yeah.
So we are talking to a narcissistic person right now, a narcissist.
Ooh, yeah.
On an ooh? Tell me about the ooh. What's the ooh?
No, I don't like to hear that word, no.
No, because it feels like you are unmasked, you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. And the more shame you feel now, the more you have the feeling like being stabbed in the back, the more joy it gives me. Because then we are close to the core of the problem.
Yeah.
Because your pattern not only resulted in a kind of behavior you don't want, the biggest problem, I presume now, is that it has resulted in a very strong negative self-image that you regard yourself as a narcissist person.
I never thought about it that way, actually.
No.
Yeah.
But when I looked at you, in your eyes, you'd have very strong emotions connected to the word narcissist, right?
Yeah, that's
But you never thought about this word before.
No, not as a self-image or so.
No, it was an unconscious negative self-image.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So now we have given words to this negative self-image. How does this feel right now?
Painful. I feel a lot of energy in my body, but also a little bit like, okay, maybe it's that self-image that I see every time I'm also not replying, or that I feel like I've wronged people. It also is kind of freeing to.
You're smiling now.
Yeah.
Saying the word freeing.
Yeah.
Elaborate on this. In what way is it? In what regard is it freeing?
It feels like this was a kind of a missing puzzle piece or so.
Yeah. I have the same assumption. And this, in a way, it's very sad, because as a child, you needed to be on your own to create your own safe space and avoid heavy impulses or arguments or fights in the family. And you needed this as a pattern to protect yourself. Yeah. But painfully, it resulted in a negative self-image, being a narcissist, which I would flip into somebody who needed protection for himself, a 3-year-old boy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's realization, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've made the mental mistake by seeing that as egocentric, or
right.
Well, I just needed protection.
Yeah, you made a label out of this to describe yourself.
Yeah.
And not what you did, but who you are.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of painful self-description.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's idiotic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You're not a narcissist, are you? Well, a little bit, but no, like everybody. No, but you're not. Yeah. You know you're not, right?
I know I'm not.
But you feel you are.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I think we have found the key of your problem.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah.
I hope so. My suggestion was pain, avoid, change this into pain, enter the pain, go into the pain, dive into the pain as a kind of new behavior. And then tell everybody that this is your new behavior. Apologize for what you did in the future. Tell them I'm ashamed because I produced a kind of narcissistic behavior. Just tell everybody that this is what you did, and ask forgiveness, and carry on with your life. And just reply to messages. And you can reply to messages, because if there's urgency, you do.
That's right.
So it's not a question of capacity. It's a question of a psychological pattern you have to break.
Yeah, that's just a completely new way of looking at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have reached the end of this conversation. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And my last realization is also that I always try to be liked, or that I can also sometimes be a people pleaser or so. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's also then because of the fact that I want to hide my narcissistic self or so. But it's also like the pattern I'm thinking of right now in general that I see. So I think, we came really to the core of it. Yeah.
Okay. And well, the proof of the pudding is in eating. So the answers in the future. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will produce a decent, better behavior. And respond to the people you love. And if you don't love people, if you don't want to have anything to do with them, it's okay not to respond at all, right? We agree on this, right? It's not a necessity to respond to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
But to those who are close to you, of course it is.
Yeah.
So how you are feeling right now by the end of this conversation?
Yeah, I feel more relief. I feel like I had an moment, like,
This is it.
This is it, yeah. So, yeah, I feel more relieved than when I walked in. So that's, I think, and more hopeful. That's also...
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll stay in touch and we'll see.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you too.
Okay.